Hey guys, what's happening? Niyat here with Film Comics Explained, and we're here on my second channel, Quantum Feed, to discuss episode 1 of Secret Invasion. I'm joined by my friends Preston and Andre. Hey fellas, how you doing?
Doing good.
Absolutely, man. I'm chilling.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. So I guess I'll give a quick rundown of what we're going to do today. So we're going to rewatch the first episode. We've all seen it in our own time, and we're going to rewatch it together to make sense of what happened. We'll begin with our first thoughts before rewatching the episode. So who wants to go first, I guess?
Yeah. So I just want to say something. The second half of the episode is a little bit blurry to me. I sort of lost focus, blanked out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember thinking quite a lot of things. One of my problems with like Marvel shows is they look so samey sometimes, and they were trying to make it a little bit more like secret agency noir with this kind of. I
Mm-hmm.
feel, but it just wasn't hitting.
Yeah.
The music was pretty good though, and we had a conversation previously about how like the plot is very sort of inconsistent with like you can tell they're not really committing.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's very clunky. Is that it, Andre? Just for the first
Yeah,
thoughts? Easy.
yeah,
All right.
because I want to save some stuff for later.
Absolutely. Same here. I've got quite a lot to discuss, which I'm sure we'll be able to do as we're watching the episode. But Preston, go ahead, homie. What were your
Yeah,
first
I want
thoughts?
to. I think starting on my high points is probably the best way to jump into all this.
Mhm.
I really love the casting for everything. I know a lot of these guys are returning characters, but the new faces are great. As you know, I have some gripes with some of the scenes for sure, but I felt like a lot of the dialogue felt pretty fun, engaging, and like a little bit combative, sort of like I don't know. It moves from beat to beat, and it kind of unfolds in a nice way. I guess that's not super specific, but I'll jump more into that, like I guess when we get there.
Yeah, Samuel
Obviously,
L.
I think.
Jackson killed it.
Oh
I
yeah,
feel.
it's so fun. It's just a treat to have him on screen anytime. I don't know. Maybe I have like blinders on, but dude, I love everything he's in. But yeah, I really enjoyed the music, like you mentioned. I do think that, like you're saying, they all feel a little samey. Like the setting being like Russia again. I'm sure that'll change like throughout the series. Like I'm sure we'll get to see some new locations. But like I was thinking about like, man, Marvel really loves to go back to this like kind of grunge aesthetic of like dark blues and da 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 da. But definitely felt like they could. I'm sure it'll improve as we go along. And obviously special effects are always really fun. I love those little hologram things. I know it's like small detail, but man, those get me every time.
Which,
Um,
which 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 hologram things are you
like
referring
I
to?
think in like one of the first scenes, when he's like pulling out, he's like, "This is going to change
Oh
everything,"
yeah,
and
yeah,
they have
yeah,
those like
yeah.
cool light rays. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
such a nerd for that. I love that so much. And then they busted out a little bit later when they're in dude's apartment, going over plans and stuff. But
Yeah, I think Maria
that,
Hill pulls it out and shows Talos and Fury what she's got at some stage.
yeah. And then I guess, like y'all are saying, there's some kind of weird inconsistencies and a couple of contrivances throughout. And again, like I'm saying, I'm not being super specific here, but I think I'll jump into that more when we get to it. But overall, like definitely enjoyable, but leaves a lot to be desired for sure.
Sure, sure. Um, yeah, I thought the show was very clunky. I thought it was very heavy on exposition, really betraying the principle of show, don't tell. It spends a lot of time telling us the state the world is in, right? What Nick Fury has been like recently, uh, the chaos that's been created by the Skrulls. But it doesn't have the budget or patience to show us any of these things. It sort of expects us to take everything at face value. They're telling us this happened, so we have to believe it. And as a result, for me, it feels like we've missed an entire show or film's worth of backstory because the characters are saying things that we're hearing for the first time, from the terrorist attacks that are mentioned at the very start and not shown, by the way, to everyone telling Nick Fury he's useless, when everything we'd seen of him prior to this was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Watching this episode, like, I definitely had a clear idea for the type of thriller they wanted to make. It's very evident. But the writing, world building, and directing just isn't up to the task of what they're trying to accomplish. I
Yeah.
guess that's my first thoughts.
Here's a question, right? So at some point during the episode, they say that Nick Fury is AWOL. That means he's an enemy of the state, right?
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, we'll get to it when the scene pops up, but it's really weird. It's really weird because it's like, wait, hang on a second. Everybody's criticizing him for being like incompetent, but at the same time, let's not forget he fucking saved New York in the first Avengers film. Shield were very happy with allowing New York to be blown up in a nuclear strike, not knowing whether or not the Chitauri and Loki would be defeated. He's like, "Nah, fuck you. I've decided this is a stupid ass decision." I'm pretty sure he says. I've put a team together. I've spent like the last decade trying to put a team together that can save us from this type of situation, and I'm not going to allow you to get in the way. You know what I mean? Like, he's the perfect fucking spy. His secrets have secrets. He doesn't trust anybody, but he's very, very competent. He puts the Avengers together. They save the world multiple times. Yeah, sure, he was
and
gone.
he's one of those characters that you want him to have more screen time, and they're finally giving it to him.
Yeah.
And they spend the time calling him sort of incompetent and sort of like antagonizing him in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, he spent 10 years putting the Avengers together. They saved the world. I know that the blip took him out for 5 years, but like, let's not forget, as a result of his actions, it didn't matter because the team that he'd put together were able to save the world twice in Endgame. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then obviously he did such a great job that they rewarded him by making him in charge of Saber, which is like the Earth's defense against aliens. That's like the most powerful position. That's above the fucking president of the United States, right?
Right.
Yes.
At least from a cosmic point of view, when you know all those threats that are out there, he's got a very important job, if not the most important job. They hear that he's gone AWOL and assume, well, they hear that he's sort of disappeared. And instead of going, when Nick Fury usually does this, it means that something serious is happening. And we need to get to him. We need to reach him. We need to ask him what's happening. We need to help him, would be the first thought. But Don Cheadle, who's his friend, is just like, he's gone AWOL. What? And then the president's like, do something. And I don't understand all of that. But I guess let's begin with the start of the episode, and
let's go.
Pause when we need to if we see anything we want to discuss.
Shout out to Don Cheadle.
Yeah. That whole scene, I was like, OMG, it's Don Cheadle. And then I spaced out so bad. I was saying all this, and I'm like,
wasn't he injured as well? Like, didn't he have like a spinal injury? Why is he walking all of a sudden? Did I miss something? Because I didn't see Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Maybe they did something with him there where they fixed his spine. But
I think that too. I didn't watch Wakanda Forever, so I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure, didn't Ultron in Captain America Civil War blast him? He's paralyzed or some shit. It wasn't. No, it was Captain Falcon. No, Ultron blasted Captain Falcon. Not Captain Falcon. He blasted Falcon. Falcon dodged it, right? And then the blast ended up hitting Rhodey, I think. Yeah. And Iron Man gets pissed off, and I think he punches. Oh, man, these films are just like, it's all sludge now. Like, who the fuck knows?
This is one long fever dream.
Actually, before we begin with the show, why don't I give you guys a quick rundown of the Secret Invasion comics, so we know what it is that they're adapting or supposed to be adapting.
Perfect.
Now, the Secret Invasion comic was like it was a mini limited series, and then they ended up doing one shots and spin-offs. So there's like a Captain America comic where the events in Secret Invasion are mentioned. Same thing with Iron Man. Same thing with Spider-Man. Secret Invasion also ties into the Civil War event quite prominently, and I'll sort of get into that. But it's a huge, huge affair. Like, it's just as big as Infinity War, and it should have been treated with that sort of respect. But the comics basically had Skrulls taking over the superheroes of Earth. We learned that the Korean Skrulls had been at war for thousands of years, right? Long before humanity and superheroes had developed on Earth. The Skrulls also in the comics are explained as being deviants, were just as arrogant as their enemies. So they're not good guys; they're just dickheads. When their war neared Earth, the Illuminati, who you guys briefly saw in Multiverse of Madness, meet them and warn them that if their war reached our planet, there would be dire consequences, which is pretty badass. So naturally, the Skrulls capture them to learn more about their powers. So while the heroes do end up escaping, it's a bit too late, because by then, it's not long until the Skrulls, led by their leader, Princess Varank, secretly invades Earth by taking over the bodies of superheroes. And when Elektra dies after Civil War, her body morphs into a Skrull, and then it creates fucking panic with nobody knowing who to trust, because it's the first time they realized, holy shit, the Skrulls are here. In the comics, they also give a good reason for why telepaths like Professor X and Emma Frost couldn't detect them, because that's the first thing you'd think is, sure, they look different, but surely while they do look different, the way that they think is going to be like a Skrull, right? But what we find out is, as part of Varanki's plan, she placed like neural blocks on their minds and literally replaced it with the hero they were transforming into. So the Skrulls impersonating heroes believed that they were human, right? So it's a very complex story. And it wasn't until the attack began that they would remember their true purpose. As you'd imagine, it creates absolute pandemonium. Because the superheroes are trying to fight the Skrulls. At the same time, they're also fighting each other. Do you know what I mean? Because of the chaos created.
Until they were Order 66, they would have like kept on being that human because they think they're that human.
Correct.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I love that.
It's an amazing story, guys. So, and then Varanki herself was impersonating Spider-Woman. And while the Skrulls could look like other heroes, they couldn't replicate their powers. That's an important thing to remember. So if there was like a Skrull pretending to be Spider-Man, he looks like Spider-Man. He might have the appendages of Spider-Man, but he can't swing web. He doesn't have Spidey senses, right? But because they were able to analyze the Illuminati, they were able to take understand how they understand their powers, and they were able to create their own set of powers. So there's normal Skrulls who can shapeshift and have like a little bit more durability and strength than humans, as we saw in the fight between Talos and the Art Stealer in this episode. But they also created what are called super Skrulls from the DNA of the captured heroes with their own set of abilities and powers. So you might have a super Skrull that looks like Spider-Man, but he can fly. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
After several battles between Earth's heroes and the Skrulls in Manhattan and the Savage Land, Mr. Fantastic, who's not in this, manages to develop a device that can detect aliens. Like he creates something that's able to distinguish a human from a Skrull. Ultimately, the Avengers, Nick Fury and his new commandos, Thor, Daredevil, and Kazar, the Young Avengers, and the Thunderbolts, together they're able to wound Varanki. I think Hawkeye fires a shot and she's injured. In a twist, taking advantage of the whole situation while the world is watching this conflict, Norman Osborn shoots and kills the injured Varanki. And as a result, he claims the victory in the war for himself, because humanity saw him basically fire the shot that killed their leader. Even though the Avengers and the new commandos, Nick Fury, all these guys were responsible for weakening her, because he fired the shot, humanity thinks that he's the hero. Obviously, Norman Osborn's a bad guy. But this has major ramifications on Marvel Comics, because with S.H.I.E.L.D. dissolved, Osborn replaces it with Hammer, creating a secret group which included Loki, the Hood, Doctor Doom, Namor, not Namor.
Okay, this sounds super cool.
Right?
This sounds like I want to see this. Yeah.
And Emma Frost. And what this does is it kickstarts the Dark Reign comic book storyline. So we finish Secret Invasion and we go straight into a new storyline. It's all laid out for us. The problem is, I'm pretty sure this isn't what we're going to get, but I wanted you to see the scale of the source material and how watered down it will be here in the show. Now, I've discovered the reason why this show isn't as good as it could be, and it's very fucking simple and very disappointing. Kevin Feige literally told the director of this show, Ali Salim, not to read the Secret Invasion comics. He was charged with adapting.
Why is this a trend? Why is this like something that they do? They give it to someone that either hates the comics or tells them not to read it or tells them not to listen to like the enthusiasts. Is like, what is the point?
What's the point of adapting it if you're not going to honor the source material? Because it's like, it's really taking advantage of comic fans. And I'm so disenfranchised now, like with Thor, God, Love and Thunder, whatever the fuck it was called. That was supposed to be the Gore storyline. And I covered the Gore storyline on my channel. It's fucking incredible. It's the same thing as Secret Invasion. It's huge. It's expansive. But Gore's barely featured in the film. He has very little impact on Thor. The character of Thor is ruined throughout the series. They develop him. He has his triumphs, his failures. But at the end, ultimately, he's one of the best heroes that we've got. And they make him basically a joke in his own film. It's really sad. But yeah, you're right. Like they tend to be hiring people who either don't like the comics or don't know anything about the comics. And not only that, even if somebody has an interest, even if Ali Salim said, actually, I mean, honestly, as a director, fuck what the producers say. You should be reading the comics because it's your job. But it just sucks that the direction from top down is don't adapt it properly. Like, it's such a weird thing to be telling your creatives.
Yeah. I feel like when we covered Halo a while back, like that was a similar story, was it not? Like the Halo live adaptation.
Well, no, that was different in that it wasn't that they weren't told not to adapt the source material. It was that the creators actively didn't want to adapt it. They were saying the
God.
original. They were saying the game was awful. The
Is
story
that
in the
wh-
game was stupid. So they made their own story. That was so, you know what I mean.
Yeah. That's
Full
definitely
blame.
worse, I think.
That's worse. That's much worse. That's full blame on the creatives. Some of the things they said in interviews, which was just like, again, why are you adapting this if you don't like it? If you think it's bad, the only answer is because they know there's a paying audience. So it's like they're intentionally making something to pull in an audience, knowing that they're going to disappoint them, which is like, bro.
Yeah, but like they seem to act as if they're gonna make something that's at least good for someone that's not the main audience, but they don't even do that.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I guess I just wanted to lay the groundwork, give you some context for how amazing Secret Invasion is. Like, it has its issues. Obviously, it does fuck with some of the Marvel continuity, like the revelation that Elektra was a Skrull in Civil War. That's huge. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
it changes a lot of the storylines. But anyway, let's begin with the show. Otherwise, we're going to be here talking forever without actually watching anything.
Yeah.
So.
I actually love a conspiracy board so much. This is like
Yeah.
so much of this is like the Pepe Sylvia bit from Always Sunny, and I'm so here for it. Like,
Give me, I got boxes full of Pepe. All right, so I start marching my way down to Carol and HR, and I knock on her door and I say, Carol!
What exactly are you talking about?
Chaos.
He delivers this pretty well.
He's great.
yeah,
He's in Game of Thrones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget his character name. He's the guy with the patch and the flaming swords.
A violent chain reaction consuming the globe.
See, this is all
You realize
amazing.
The entire world is
Yeah.
at war.
Yeah.
The atmosphere.
Why aren't we seeing this? Why is this all exposition?
I was about to say that. It's all in the background.
Even if it's like a smash cut to these terrorist attacks, and it's like, this is the world that we're in now, and it's just like, holy shit, okay, I'm with you, let's go. And then cut to a little of conspiracy. But starting a show with just pure exposition is just, there's ways to do it right.
yeah. Quick
Yeah.
question: does this character does he know this as a fact, or is he being convinced of this? I was a little confused on the first part.
I think he's pretty sure.
Okay, word. Because I was gonna say, like, if he's not sure, like, we're kind of learning about whether or not this is true with him. You know what I mean? It makes a little more sense. But like, if he's already sold, then I'm right there with you.
Yesterday, it started 30 years ago when the Skrulls
And they all know about the Skrulls. I don't understand why people don't. Why feels the need to be so secretive with it, right?
Right.
Skrulls could be anybody, anywhere, at any time.
And there is only a tiny handful known to live on Earth. That's barely enough to...
To what? You have
Wait, this doesn't make sense, guys. At the end of Captain Marvel, there was like less than 100 Skrulls. And I know it's implied that there's like a civilization of them like somewhere looking for a home. But even if we're to buy the fact that thousands of them came here, Saber's up. Saber would have detected them. Saber would have seen their ships coming. Like,
Well, okay. How long ago was Saber established?
well, they don't fucking tell us.
Oh,
The one bit of useful exposition, like, it's just gone.
And it's like intentional. They're being so vague with things because they know that if they give us too much information, we'll be able to pick it apart.
was Saber down during the blip?
Who knows?
Okay,
Was it created during the blip, after the blip? We don't know.
that's awesome. Zero fucks.
I need to give him something more than just theories. I need evidence.
See, here they're talking about Nick Fury like he's the big man, right?
Correct. It's like he's the one person that we can rely on, which is completely contradicted by the rest of the episode, by the way.
100%.
This is the one that sets the world on fire.
So Prescott seems to trust Ross right now. Like, he's like, yeah. He's very paranoid, but he's like, Ross, you're dependable.
Ross is that guy. I can trust him.
Yeah.
Hey, Prescott, look, I'm here to help, okay?
He
So let me
turned.
take this, and I'll give the information to Fury, okay?
What's going on here? This does not
So I
make
think-
sense. None of this
I
makes
think in
sense.
his mind, he accepted it too quick. You know?
I don't understand how this fight started because he literally when he's giving Ross his inner monologue, he says that I don't know who to turn to. I've stopped logging this into the because I don't know who to trust at the office, right? And it's just like the only person I can trust is you. And when he says you, it's like he immediately goes, okay, now I don't trust you, even though my inner monologue is telling me that I trust you. And it seems like he goes from 1 to 10 instantly.
Yeah, this confused me. I'm gonna try to play devil's advocate real quick. So I think it was just like he went from completely incredulous to I'm gonna help you, buddy. Don't worry about it. Like,
Right.
and I think that's what shifted things.
But it's like, what response could have Ross given him for him not to act in that way? Because had have Ross said, I don't believe you, this is stupid, I'm not helping, would that have been what he wanted? Because it seems like the reason he turned is because Ross started going, okay, I believe you. Let's get this Fury.
If the evidence he had was so compelling as he seems to think it is, then it would have been logical for us to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to help you. We got this.
Because Prescott achieved what he wanted. He wanted to bring Ross in. He wanted to explain everything to Ross. He wanted to show him the evidence, and he wanted that evidence to go to Nick Fury. And Ross basically accepts it. It's like, okay, I'm not entirely convinced, but you've given me this evidence. You seem really, really sure. I guess we'll give it to Nick Fury. Let him decide, which is exactly what Prescott wanted. So why does he attack him? It doesn't make sense. It feels like the writers were like, we need to have Prescott give him this information, and then we need Prescott to die.
Yeah. And typically in scenes like this, they'll like go back at some point. Like the character doesn't get shot in the back like instantly, and they go back and explain what the tell was, and it's really satisfying for the audience. So I was kind of expecting that moment to happen where it's like, oh, I knew immediately when you whatever, and he's just gets shot immediately and there's no resolution. So then it just kind of falls flat, you know?
Well, let's keep going, see what happens next. You know, Ross has been in the field for quite some time, but I'm assuming this is like one of the few times he's ever had to do something like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So this would be way heavier.
In this version, there is no Order 66. They just know they're Skrulls.
Yes. See, whereas in the comics, the inciting event was Elektra.
Right. Here it's nothing, kind of.
Well, not really nothing. I think they've replaced the Elektra reveal with another reveal, which we're about to see. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't work because there's no lead up to it. I thought this sequence was interesting because I'm wondering who the fuck is a Skrull? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This chase is pretty cool. But why is that guy chasing him?
And where did he come from? Was he on him from the beginning? Like,
I'm really confused.
Where is this coming from?
He as soon as Ross exits the building, that guy's behind him. He's tailing him. He's following him for ages, and then now, instead of chasing him down the stairs, he just yells at him.
Yeah. So I was half expecting the scene to be a setup to like weed out Skrulls, and that other guy was there with the original the guy that got killed, the secret agent that got killed.
Same.
I was expecting for that to be a reveal, but that sort of went nowhere. And this chase came out of nowhere.
It makes no sense. Like, watch this, guys. Watch this. Instead of chasing him down the stairs, when Ross falls, the fuck is he saying? And this is a completely different guy now. So this is the guy with the red gloves is the first person. This is so fucking weird. See here? Red gloves?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
They did that intentionally so we can like keep track of him. But he's not the same guy that chases him here. No gloves.
I think I just want to go back to something you said earlier, which is like it feels very intentionally ambiguous. Like they don't have the answers. They don't want us to have the answers. Like, oh, it's mysterious for the sake of mystery. You know what I mean?
But
anybody
like,
could be anywhere at any time.
As a director, you're giving us visual clues, right? You're like, okay, the one pursuing him has red gloves. That's a very spy thing to do. But it doesn't make sense for it to switch to this guy now, who's just yelling at him for no reason. It's not the person who was chasing him.
Oh, yeah.
So why was he chasing him? And now it cuts to the red guy. Does not make any sense.
Continuity thing?
It's an interesting
point. He
point.
has the same funny hat.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the hat seems the same, so...
No, they definitely have, like, 5 different guys there.
This man's about to take a leap of faith for no reason.
See, the guy has no gloves now.
Yeah.
Oof.
Show me your hands.
Oh, so that's the guy without.
Rukia.
Wait, what? How did he get the down so fast? Okay.
Talos.
It's me.
So it's just a continuity issue.
Yes, I think it's a continuity issue.
Right?
God damn it. You fix that
Maybe
in
he was
post.
shouting that like his hands were getting hot and he needed a second to take his gloves off. Like,
Yeah.
hold on, my hands.
He did fall to the floor, and when he got up, the gloves were gone. I believe that's the point where the gloves disappeared when he tripped.
Okay.
Before the stair scene.
I'm not buying it, but all right.
Oh no, me neither. But
I have something funny to tell you, Preston. Do you know
Okay,
this
word.
intro
Yeah,
looks interesting and stuff like that? But they used AI.
I was about to say that's very, very stable diffusion. Like,
It's all AI art. And it's funny
it's so
because
funny.
the writers are on strike right now, complaining that like their writing jobs are going to be taken up by AI. And Marvel's like,
Yeah,
it's not just your writing jobs.
right.
Bruh.
Well, what's interesting is like a lot of the style that they're like using here is stuff that's like they're actively developing, so it doesn't look like this anymore. And somebody saw it and they were like, "No, it's kind of a neat stylistic choice. Like, what if all the faces were like really messed up because it's like the Skrulls and they have shifting identities and you know what I mean?" So like, I kind of that's a fun use of it. Not to be like
Yeah.
a huge AI bro, but like
It just
that's
feels
kind of an
I felt
interesting
like-
choice, right?
I didn't know about the AI thing, but I felt like it was shifting because you don't know who to trust, who's real, who's not. Like,
Right.
I
Well, it's
get
like
that. But don't you feel a little bit like Marvel's like just being lazy?
they've been lazy.
doing an AI intro.
Bro. Because all the other intros are well conceived. There's people that have an idea. I mean, this looks great, and I understand what they're going for. But just knowing that they used AI art, because Preston, we use AI art because we're on a fucking tight budget. You know what I mean?
Right.
We can't afford to hire an artist to make 100 different images, so we do what we can. But this is Marvel. Like,
Yeah. And again, like I've said, it's like intentionally like it looks like you know what I mean? If they wanted to make this not really feel like AI, they totally could have. So it's
Yeah.
just like a straight they were like, dude, I like how shitty AI images look. Like, let's make that a minute long intro. I will say I love the color
And it
scheme in
does look
this.
good. Mhm.
Yeah, like I kind of do vibe with it. The intro song is banging.
yeah, the intro song is
Vis-
great. It's a
visually,
shame we don't
this
hear
is
it throughout the show.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's got like that whole Russian 70s Cold War feel, but that music does not come back again, I'm pretty sure.
See, okay, so the whole thing could have been avoided if they just had Ross die another way. Without the whole conspiracy theory shit at the beginning.
Oh yeah, we didn't really discuss that. We sort of skipped over it. So I guess with
Yeah.
Ross being a Skrull, I mean we'll sort of explain this later, but he's still alive, right? Like because in order to replicate somebody, they need to keep their body in one of those stasis pods. So yeah, the Skrull Ross
Okay,
is
word.
dead, but I think Ross is still alive, which is good. What were you going to say though, Andre?
Well, no, it just feels like it was just an excuse for exposition.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, the thing that triggered people discovering the Skrulls was Ross dying and had nothing to do with this guy that had been gathering evidence and going crazy for like the
Yep.
last 55 billion years. Like I don't know. That sort of felt iffy to me.
Absolutely.
But let's go on.
Nick Fury. So Saber's
he's
pretty
straight-
freaking advanced, man. If they can
Yeah.
do this sort of shit. Got like the tractor beam.
Yeah. It's funny, like y'all mentioned they're so hard on his character. Like they make him show up like Jesus. Like that's how Jesus pulled up. You know what I mean? Like
Facts, dude.
bathed in white light. Like he comes down like the Messiah and they're like, man.
You went AWOL, man.
Do you know what's odd? So I know what they're going for here. They're like, he's been in space, less gravity. I'm sure there's probably some sort of gravity drive on Saber, but like it's probably less gravity than Earth. He's really old. So when he touches down, he's not as mobile as he was. But I don't understand this shot because it's like if you want to show that his legs or his knees, there's something wrong, Why do they go for a mid shot where you don't actually see the thing that he's tending to? Like, watch this. He takes a step and he's just like, oh shit, my knees. He bends down, grabs his knee, but we don't see his knee. It just looks like a weird shot.
Yeah, kind of uncomfortable.
Like, I pieced it together because I'm sort of, trying to figure out
Because I'm a baller.
because I'm a baller like that. No, but you know what I mean, right? Like that as a director. See, this is the shot we should have seen.
Yeah.
Dog, I straight up just thought he was old. Like, I was just like, I guess he's old now. Like, I didn't know what they were trying to do here.
Exact same thought. Like, I was like, oh, I didn't even consider the fact that he was on a space station. I just thought he was old.
I was like, man, they're really hammering this home. Why is he still limping? Like,
I thought he'd been injured or something in a previous movie, and I didn't understand the context.
yeah.
Again, they should have shown us him limping or showing his age in like Endgame or Captain. I guess not Captain Marvel because that's like set 30 years prior, but you know what I mean.
I actually love this scene though. I can't lie.
Terrific Australian actor, Ben Mendelsohn. I'm a huge fan.
He's so great.
You always believed that was possible.
Okay, that's subtext, right? Sora and his wife brought a plant. It's sort of representing his daughter Gia. They planted it. They weren't sure whether it would grow, but Talos said that it would. He always believed that the Skrull fruits of the Skrull's labor could be planted on Earth and grow, and that's sort of like symbolic of the Skrulls being able to integrate on Earth, right? Without too much resistance. So I'm getting the symbolism they're going for. I feel like Talos is like the good spiritual leader of the Skrulls, who's trying to help them integrate with humanity, and that's going to be juxtaposed with the villain, who's Gravik, who's wants to do the integration but by force. You know what I mean? So this is a really beautiful scene, well written. I thought this was really cool. Anything you were going to say, guys?
No, not till a little bit later. I don't know. Their hug is great. I don't know. That's such a weird
well, that's
thing to throw out beforehand, but
yeah, I know what you mean. It's just about to happen now. That's the Skrull communication, and
gotcha.
One of the things I love about every scene that Ben Mendelsohn and Nick Fury are in are great. They have such great chemistry together. I had a note somewhere about their relationship. I'm sure we'll come to it, but like their scenes feel grounded. They feel real. You feel the weight of their history. Do you know what I mean? Even though their history is basically a Captain Marvel movie, and then things that happened in between over 30 years that we don't get to see, you feel their relationship. You know what I mean?
Right.
You feel the weight of that. I thought that was really cool.
It just has the like potential to not sell as well as it does, but I'm totally sold on like these are best buds. You know what I mean? And it's testament to both of these actors.
What's weird is that they wrote it in a way that they sold that these two have a strong friendship. But his relationship with Maria Hill is a bit. You're sort of blaming him here. Telling him, Soren always believed that you wouldn't come back to help us until shit hit the fan.
We've been helping you for all these years to ensure that you kept your promise.
When he's saying helping you, he's obviously referring to the number of times that they've impersonated humans on behalf of him. So at the end of, I don't know if you guys remember, but I think, the entire Far From Home film, that's not Nick Fury. Remember, that was a Skrull that was training Spider-Man.
Interesting. I guess I don't remember that.
Yeah, so I mean, I only remember that because my friend Remy, he is fucking Brad in that. He's in a love triangle with MJ and Spider-Man. So I love that film. But my recollection is, because the whole thing is about Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. sort of giving him new equipment, training him. That's not Nick Fury, because at the end, we realized Nick Fury's on Saber, and the Maria Hill and Nick Fury we saw were Skrulls. So this is what he's referring to. So not only have they been hiding in secret, but they've actually been working for S.H.I.E.L.D. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unofficially.
Carol Danvers disappeared. And so did Gaia. Hold it. Your daughter disappeared to where?
Gravik is now the newest member of the Skrull Council.
He's in Russia.
Skrulls are immune to radioactivity, and Russia has the most abandoned nuclear plants on Earth.
But here's the thing. These plants, they're not on the books.
No, they would be.
Yeah.
Because
I was about to say that. That's one of the things that I was going to mention. Go ahead.
Power plants are connected to a power grid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So even though the I don't know, the city or the town in which the plant was created might be abandoned because of like radioactivity, there's still power lines, and you know, it's not just, you don't just
Right.
build a random power plant without connecting it to an infrastructure. So for them to say this is just like, this is the writers
Mhm.
being so incompetent in their writing that they create an out for themselves. It's just like, we don't want to go through the complexity of having these guys search for them.
Yeah,
So we're just
this
going
is
to
their
say
MacGuffin.
it's just a
This is
MacGuffin. It's just
100%
And, like,
their MacGuffin.
even if that was like accurate, isn't there a whole like isn't Fury's whole deal intelligence? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, based on what we've seen, wouldn't he just be able to figure this out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't seem like the most ridiculous thing he's accomplished.
So
So if
not
that's
only
the-
would Nick Fury from the comics figure it out instantly, but like he would have already figured it out. That's the thing.
Right.
The way that Nick Fury is written in the comics is like, by the time this meeting happens, like if they were to say there's all these power plants, some of them are off the grid, even if the writers did that, Nick Fury would say, well, during my time in the Cold War, we were able to find the locations of all the plants that Russia had. And even if some are decommissioned, I'm sure we can go through my records and be able to identify the ones that are still active, do you know, the ones that are still turned on.
Yeah. But if you have the intel to know that there are power plants off the grid,
exactly.
intel to know
Exactly.
where they are.
Exactly.
Cover up schematics for a dirty bomb intercepted by Prescott. Prescott had been monitoring a new radical group called the AAR, Americans Against Russia, which he
Jesus, what a silly name. Americans Against Russia. Again, just a testament to how like uncreative the writers are. I mean, that's not even a word. It goes to show how uncreative I am in terms of my use of language. But like just the lack of creativity with not just plotting, character work, but like just naming things. Like I'm in the middle of like writing a few novels at the moment, and like Americans Against Russia would be like the first thing I write. Do you know what I mean? Like just to get the idea across,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I'd subvert it and maybe call them the Alliance or the Resistance or just something cool. But like they have to spell it out for you. You know what I mean? They're called Americans Against Russia because they're Americans against Russia. Yeah, great work there.
full front for a terrorist attack.
Well, Gravik's trying to start a war between Russia and the United States.
And that was Prescott's theory.
And he's going to use this bomb to do it.
It's weird because we don't see them. We don't see the schematics. We don't see them building the bomb. It's just the bombs are in the bag. It's so weird.
Because at the same time where their character assassinating the heroes, they're also doing it to the villains. Because this is all like,
Sorry, I just went back a bit. What did you say, Andre?
like while they're character assassinating the heroes, they're also a character assassinating the villains. Because up till now, the villains are just like a bunch of randos that want to start shit for no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, they're mad at Nick Fury, but like at the same time,
they're not justified in what it is that they're doing.
Going for a walk. You going for a walk in Moscow at night? Oh, you're gonna stand out.
No shit.
see, the scene itself is good because the actors are good.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel so conflicted about the episode as a whole because of that.
It's all this. You got Don Cheadle. You have a bunch of charismatic people.
Yeah.
But the plot is spaghetti.
They're like begging you to not look at it too deeply. They're like, come on, dude. Cheadle's on screen. Please. Just I promise we're gonna have a chase scene in like 5 minutes. Just hang in there.
Given the fact that I could reach neither Agent Hill nor Agent Fury, they were effectively AWOL.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh my
unreachable.
god.
So the information he's just given the president is can't reach him, and the president's like, what the fuck? He's supposed to be in charge of Saber. Like, why can't you reach him? And it's just like, I don't know. But both him and Maria Hill have disappeared for some reason. But we did intercept a message between Fury and Maria Hill. And like, as the president and as Don Cheadle, as Warhammer, knowing everything that you know about Nick Fury and what he's done for the fucking world, as I said earlier, this should be not their AWOL. It should be they need our help.
Yeah.
I think they need our help. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents here.
Yeah, because AWOL is absent without leave, right? Something like that.
I think AWOL is just when you abandon your base, right? Like
Yeah.
when a soldier goes AWOL, it's just, I'm pretty sure it means they abandon their station. They're not where they're supposed to be.
But that means they're an enemy. That means they've in a sense betrayed you. Like they're antagonistic to you now. When like Nick Fury, I don't understand why he came down without telling anyone. I mean, he could be saying I have a mission or something.
Well, Nick
right?
Fury doesn't tell anybody anything that he does, so I don't have too many
That makes
issues
sense.
with that, with him not telling people, but just with him. And I guess I understand why he doesn't want to talk to the president, because he's like, well, the president could be a Skrull, which I actually do suspect, but that's like sidebar. Yeah, I think the reason they're doing this at the very start, to again, clunky writing, them saying he's AWOL, not really justified, but in the context of the ending, I understand why they're doing it, because they're trying to frame it so that it looks like Nick Fury is responsible for the attack.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? That's what the writers are trying to do, but they're doing it so in a way that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
People know that Nick Fury doesn't say anything. People know that Nick Fury has been trying to protect Earth since like the fucking dinosaur age.
Facts.
Like, why would they just assume this unless they're Skrulls?
Yeah. It's even funny that you mentioned since the dinosaur age, because I'm pretty sure there's a comic where Nick Fury goes back in time to like the dinosaur age. Like, there's nothing that he
make that. I want to see that one.
Honestly, guys, like in all the comics, no matter what world catastrophe is going on, like Nick Fury, where the humanity's like almost dead, the superheroes are broken, they're all almost dead. Like towards the end of the episode, the heroes end up stumble upon Nick Fury, who's in a fucking cave or in a bunker, and he's already like come up with a plan, a solution. That's Nick Fury. And they're like, oh my God, we're so thankful to see you. And he's just like, yeah, all right, we got to send Wolverine back in time to fix this. Like, that's the kind of guy.
Nick Fury is rule of cool, right? Like he is supposed to know these things. Like, and that's what makes him compelling, because he's just a badass. He knows he is ultra capable.
Yep. Just as he was in Shaft. He's a bad mother. Shut your mouth.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Don Cheadle.
I think I do sense a bit of resistance from Cheadle. Like, I think he doesn't agree that they've gone AWOL, but he's just saying he's a good guy. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
All right. I want you guys to pay close attention to some things that we see here, which will come back at the very end. All right. Check out this girl. Just remember that face. Because when I first saw it, I thought that was awkward, but it makes sense. Also, remember this. Okay, yeah, that wouldn't happen.
Well, he let himself get caught.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to sort of ruin the plot. I understand what happens, but like normally that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, when he got caught, I was like, no.
You just have me extraordinarily renditioned by a group of your thugs.
Were you not extraordinary?
I love that bit. Were you a lot extraordinary?
I mean, I'd be careful about being condescending and like denigrating to my chief of security, like my two bodyguards. You know what I mean? I'd be cautious about like throwing shade at the people in charge of protecting me, just putting it out there. But I know like it is to sort of give Olivia Colman a bit of character, you know, a bit of personality.
Right, like it's definitely a choice. You know what I mean?
It's the first time we're seeing her, so they're trying to make us remember her, and we really do from this.
Also, she's British, so it's her right to be like a condescending.
Yeah, exactly. I'm half expecting her to offer him some tea in a second. What you guys might not know is that Sonia Farnsworth is actually like a legacy character. She's created for this show, so she doesn't exist in the comics. But her father was best friends with Nick Fury. He was a part of the Howling Commandos. And by extension, I think Captain America would have also been there. Nick Fury's best friend, Gung Dugum, I think his name is. It's really funny. He was also in the first Captain America movie, the first Avengers. So we've seen her father in the Captain America film. So cool. Not only is Nick Fury friends with their father, but he's also, you know, been working with her. So that's their history, I guess. So they're very close. In fact, he probably saw her as a child. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He looks like he cares about her, right?
Yeah.
Hey.
Sneaky.
A clock goes up when your time in the circus is done. But I like to think I still have a few juggling acts left in me.
Yeah, if I was Olivia Colman, if I was Sonya, I would not let him touch shit. Like, knowing Nick Fury, I would be like, no, please stop touching shit. I know what you're doing, Nick. I know what you're doing. Like,
I do love that line though about it. Clock goes up when your act is done, because that's kind of like resonant with like the whole Fury thing. Granted, I know that's kind of a gripe that like they're sort of character assassinating Nick, but like within the confines of like this episode, I like that. You know,
this is also a really great exchange because they know each other for a long time, as I've said. She knows what his drink of preference is, bourbon, and she intentionally gives him vodka. And the exchange is just beautiful. Like,
I'm pretty sure you recollect my drink of choice is bourbon.
Well, I might have welcomed you home, but I still haven't forgiven you for destroying my very expensive flat.
You mean city?
So it's bottom shelf piss for you or nothing at all.
great.
That's
great.
awesome.
Now, but you know where it fails?
Where?
They're referencing something we haven't seen.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. But
do you know what I mean? Like, this is the issue. It's like, yeah, you've written a clever exchange of dialogue, but it's like grounded in nothing. If maybe they've referenced something that we'd seen that happened in the UK, then this would like work even better. But like right now, it just sounds funny, but it's empty.
Right. I have a question. So like I'm not like caught up on all of the new like Marvel series and stuff, but is there any chance the writers are just using that to their advantage where they're like, oh, like if they don't know what we're referencing, maybe it's from a series they haven't seen yet. You know what I mean? Because there's so much that like they're referencing in this that I'm like, oh, that's probably just from something I haven't seen yet. And y'all are telling me no, it's just not in the series.
It's
and
not
so
in the
like,
series.
Oh, damn, so
it's never
this is
referred
just
to
bad.
again. Yeah. I guess it just touches on one of my main complaints about this is there's so much telling us of information, like important pieces of information that could have been shown to us.
Sure. I feel like this is one of the less bad transgressions of that because it's just a quip, you know?
Yeah.
You know the rebel leader personally, don't you?
I knew him.
Is that why you came down from your space station? You feel responsible?
Wait, hang on a second. I'm sure she knows a lot of world leaders that have committed horrible things. Does that mean she's guilty by association? I don't understand what she's getting at here.
I think she's just throwing shade without caring.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that shade throwing at Nick Fury in this.
I think Thanos' snap changed you. Taught you that no matter how hard you fight for what's right, there's always someone stronger to undermine you.
Where's that coming from?
Yeah. Nick is still here. Thanos is not.
There's always someone stronger to undermine you. What? Like that line, where's that coming from? Nothing that we've seen justifies what she's saying here.
Forget this old Nick Fury has 30 years of hands-on experience with the Skrull.
Get him.
I know the nature of this threat way better than you ever will.
Let him cook.
I let your men take me so I could get to you.
I mean this as a friend, Fury. But go back to your space
Why do
station.
they not believe him?
Right.
Wait, hold on a second. For her to say go back to your space station, she knows that the space station is in charge of protecting the Earth. He has a far more important role than her. But she's insinuating that if he's not prepared to investigate this, then he's absolutely not prepared to go back on that space station.
Right. And I'm going back to that quote about Thanos because Nick won. He set up the system that eventually brought down Thanos.
And that was the thing, because she's saying you after the blip you realize that no matter what you do, there's always someone stronger than you. He knew there was going to be someone stronger than him. That was the point of the Avengers. Do you know what I mean? Like that was the whole purpose of the group. Maybe one of you can pull up the direct quote that he gives, but it's in the first Avengers film.
There was an idea, Stark knows this, called the Avengers Initiative. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people to see if they could become something more, to see if they could work together when we needed them to fight the battles that we never could.
Boom. So like, it's weird. Avengers from 2012 is giving her a rebuttal to the statement that she made now. It's just, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and why is his competence being called into question at all? Is it just because he's old? Like, did he do something in the
It's
last
just
couple?
purely the fact that he let this go on for as long as it did without doing anything, which really doesn't make sense. That he would have let this happen for 30 years while he's training Iron Man. Do you know what I mean? While he's saving his life, you know, he's like, we can save you. You don't have to die in Iron Man 2. While he's getting Natasha Romanoff, Hawkeye together, you know, while he's getting everything put together, he ignores the Skrulls who can shapeshift, knowing that
And
some of them
who-
are discontent. Like,
and who he's intimate with, like he cares about.
exactly. Of all the people for him to abandon, it would not be Talos. It does not make sense. So, and
Because
yeah,
as you mentioned in the comics, the Skrull are chaotic evil, right? They're at the very
they're
least
dicks.
they're like
They're not
just
evil. They're just dicks. Yeah.
And so it makes sense that you would have to fight them. Here, they came to Earth, they made a deal with Nick Fury, and they feel betrayed by him. But one, they established in this episode that Skrulls live for a long time. And a lot of stuff has been happening with humanity that I think they could empathize with Nick being busy. Although I do think Nick could have easily found them a fucking home.
There's so many fucking planets out there. Captain Marvel, who's basically God, in 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, I'm not kidding, guys. In 2 minutes, she could have gone around the fucking galaxy and found a habitable planet, right? Shield could have transported them over there. Shield could have helped them build a city. It does not make sense. It's artificial conflict.
After all humanity has been through, I think they could accept a few lizard men on Earth, if push came to shove, you know?
Yeah. And it's not like the snap didn't affect humanity as well. It affected everything in the universe.
Sure.
So, and it only happened like 5 years ago. So, yeah. Anyway, I guess the thing is, like, good storytelling has set up and payoff, right? And this exposition opening is giving us payoff for setup that we haven't seen.
Yes.
If your memory jogs about that Kazakhstan thing, call a brother.
You know, when intelligence agencies don't share information, nothing bad ever happens, right?
Mm-hmm. And what is the logical reason from keeping this from him?
What do you want? Home in my own skin.
Interesting. I have a few questions. You saw when this scene started, it said 312 kilometers, like, from Moscow or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
How did he find this place?
I was thinking the same thing when he arrived there. When I watched this the first time.
Again, poor writing. If I was writing this, I'd maybe have signs written in Skrull that humans can't read. You know, maybe have a scene of him in Moscow seeing a sign. Another scene
Talking
of him
to someone, the classic talking to a bartender using code because he saw like a sign that this is where he should be. You know,
correct. And then somebody telling him it's a long walk. Are you prepared for it? And he's just like, yeah. And as he's walking, maybe you could you know how we did the ritual video and we saw, this is Preston, like, you know how there was the Norse mythology symbols on the trees.
Yeah.
Same thing here, like Skrull symbology on a tree. We see that for a second. We see him looking at it. That to us is visual language, visual information to explain to the audience that he knows where he's going. But right now he's just he's 300 kilometers away from any major city. He's just stumbled upon this place. We've got no information as to how he found it, and we don't get any confirmation as why.
No intelligence agencies can find it, but this random can.
Yes, another one, and another one.
And it's also, like you're saying, dude, like just a single shot would have gone so far. I mean, they showed us putting the contact on the owl 3 times in that scene, and we don't get a single one-off shot, like of like a symbol or, you know, whatever. It's fine.
This could have been a subplot from the beginning of the episode, sort of cutting to him arriving at, like, walking through Moscow, seeing the sign, then arriving here later, you know, getting the intel. But no.
Another thing I want to say is, what's the first thing he says to these two guys when he arrives? It's just like, what do you want? I want to be in my own skin. He says that, right?
Yep. A home in my own skin. Yeah.
What does he not do for the next, like, 40 minutes of this episode?
Transform.
That's an issue kind of through a lot of this, but we'll get into that later.
Hang on. You're leaving humanity, the main population areas, because you can't be in your own skin. I sympathize with that. I get that. And your own skin is your Skrull makeup. But you're not, once you arrive home, the first thing he should do here is stay in that Skrull form. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
like, does it hurt them to be in human form or something? Like,
no, but there is a reason, which I'll explain shortly. Look at this cheap trick. They cover his face to save money on special effects for the transition. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
I did not notice it, but it makes sense now.
Check this out. It's so cheap. Ready? Cover his face. I guess he started changing before, but
the transformation.
Why does he change back?
Part.
Why does he change back?
It struck me immediately as well. You would assume like it reminds me of like I want to see the real Raven. No, the real Raven. Like they've kind of played with this plot, or like I don't know, Marvel has played with it in the past. And I know that was a different
so well, and
right. And these guys are not doing the trope as well as the X-Men films have. You know what I mean?
Well, the whole thing with Mystique, she's fucking sick and tired of looking like how people want her to look, and I love that. Like towards the end of the latter series, like X-Men 2 and X-Men Last Stand, although they're like questionable in quality, I think X2 has a better story, but like execution, X3 is really messy. But the point about Mystique is she embraces her new skin, her identity and what she's normally like, and that's who she is. And the only time she's ever in human skin is when she's on mission or something like that. But Magneto sort of instills in her, don't be ashamed of who you are. And I sort of feel like that's what this is setting up, like don't be ashamed, and then they completely fall flat. I will explain why he's not changing back into his Skrull form in a second, because it's sort of given to us by Daenerys.
Cool. By Daenerys.
That's all I see here, bro.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's so tough because like having them like shift skin, it's like a mask. You know what I mean? Like masks are like comments on identity, and like they just I don't know. Maybe we'll give it more time to develop, but so far it feels tough. You know.
We grow only Skrull produce here. Drink Skrull wine, wear Skrull skins.
It's a bit racist. Only Skrull produce here. Do not allow outsiders.
I would do anything to try Skrull wine. That sounds like it probably
dude.
Smacks, dude.
Facts.
Yo, it's gonna be so blue. If something's blue, it just seems tasty to me. That's like the opposite of evolution. Like it should mean to be poison.
It should not be blue, yeah.
It should not be blue, but I'm like, crayon.
There's something either really good or really bad about its color. We're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out.
Dude, okay. And then,
again,
like you're saying, nobody is in their
nobody's
skin.
in their skin.
They cut away here in a second, and then like it's better. But this shot is very important that they're all Skrulls. I think you know.
Yes.
And she just said we're all in our own skin.
Correct. Yeah, we eat our own Skrull
and
fruit,
then,
and then okay, so we got a couple of shots here. I think for me, it's just they're trying to save money, right?
Yeah,
Because
no, it's totally budgetary, right?
This episode feels very low budget compared to like the MCU continuity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel the only show they've really like tried to give budget to was WandaVision and Loki, because like Falcon was also kind of like middling.
Mm-hmm.
What the? Oh my god, my head is hurting, guys. She says there's 500 of them here, right? He asks, are they all part of the resistance? She's like, no. So she's clearly saying there's two sides to us, right? We've got the refugees who just want to get away from danger and stuff, which we're protecting, and we have the warrior front. Everybody has to stay in except for the warriors who are allowed to leave. And it's just like, this is not an incentive for him because he doesn't want to go outside. He wants to come here.
Yeah.
She's setting up the fact that warriors can leave as a reward to try and get him to join them. That's the idea. But it's like everything he's told us leading up to this is he doesn't want to be on the outside world. He just wants to be home.
Yeah. He wants
The
to be
warriors
here with
keep
his brother.
our human form. The longer we attach to our shells, the less likely we can be identified by humans and Skrulls.
Boom. That's the explanation. That's why people are in human form. So it's like if they change from human to Skrull, they're more detectable, I guess. The longer they're in their human form, the longer, I guess, they're able to adopt that identity more clearly. It's not really defined, but it's an explanation. At least they give us something, right? So sort of explains why most of the people here aren't in their own skin, but it does not explain why he's not in his own skin.
Right.
Because he's not a warrior yet. He should want to be it's just like wearing the human identity should be like an uncomfortable costume that you're wearing.
Yeah.
I feel. And so if his whole motivation is he wants to take it off, the first thing he should do is just, oh my God, thank God, I'm human again.
Right.
I'm Skrull again. And then maybe she could say, we have a position for you if you're willing to go back. And it's a decision that he makes. It's like, okay, for the good of this whole resistance, I'm willing to. It's character development for him as well, right? Like,
yeah.
Going from wanting to be a Skrull to understanding he needs to sort of adopt a human identity to protect the Skrulls. It's like, yeah, a bit of character work, but all right, let's just ignore it then, I guess.
So, Niyat, is that like comic accurate? Is that canon? Is that like the same reason that they like, do they stay in human form like that in the comic?
No, because in the comics they don't even know. In the comics, they
Okay.
don't even know that they're Skrulls, except for a handful of them, like Ferengi, who's in charge. But yeah,
Oh, right.
Unlike The Last of Us, where it's a one-to-one adaptation, right? Like everything we see in the game pretty much is shown in the TV show, or some parts that are DLC in the game are expanded in the show. But for the most part, it's a one-to-one adaptation. Marvel doesn't do that. Marvel just goes, secret invasion. There's Skrulls pretending to be human. That's the part of the story that we're taking, instead of the superheroes, the Illuminati, the conflict with the Kree. You know what I mean? Like it's just watered down. So my suspicion is that it's not like that in the comics, but they're just doing that here.
I don't super love their explanation for it. I just feel like if they had given it a little bit more effort, maybe they, you know what I mean? Because I get like, okay, we can't have them in prosthetics all day, you know what I mean? Like that's a nightmare for like production and for the actors to be in, because they're doing a lot of this practically, I think, like at least in this scene. So like, I totally get them not wanting to do it, but like, man, they could have spent more than 15 minutes on the explanation, I think.
Yeah.
It's one of my bigger gripes with the episode, I think.
I think
like,
what we're gonna find as we go through this episode and the series over the next few weeks is that the actors are great. I think for the most part, I think where this sort of falls flat is in the writing. Do you know what I mean? Like from the plotting, the character development, arbitrary and sometimes nonsensical ways things happen in order to justify the ending or what needs to happen. It's just like, it's very messy. It's a very messy episode. Hopefully it does improve, but yeah.
I'll get you a proper room. Prove your loyalty, and Gravik will reward you.
If she doesn't want him to come in, why did she bring him here? See what I mean by the writing?
Yeah.
So these are all the humans. Oh, did you notice that guy?
Who was he?
We're going to see him very shortly. That guy there?
Oh, right.
Yeah. So these are all the humans in pods that have already been copied. I wonder if we get to see Ross.
What is your name? Warrior. What is your fight? Skrullos. What is your dream? Home. In my own skin. Take his face.
Why doesn't he say anything?
That is the question.
What the fuck just happened? Like, if I was in that situation, someone took a bag over my head, I see an alien and all these humans, I'd be like, what's going on?
Right.
Stop, please, let me go. I won't tell anybody. This is
I
basic.
see an alien transform into me in PS4 graphics.
What's going on with the writers, guys? It's like they're not even in the scene with us. Like, it's so bare bones. It's so bare bones.
Was this during the writers' strike?
No. This was written in like, they started working on this 2018, 2019. Writer's strike should not affect this because they were in post-production when the writer's strike. No, I mean, they'd finished the show because the writer's strike is only 50 days it's been on.
Can I throw out one thing in that last scene?
Yeah.
They like take their mind, right? I kind of was expecting to see some sort of like change in expression in that dude because the guy was terrified when they strapped him into that thing. And it's like what you were saying, they like become them, correct? So like, I don't know. I just was kind of hoping for a bigger reaction there. I don't know if that's a nitpick, but like, dude, that.
I mean, the guy just briefly touches him, and it's like, yep, transfer complete. Because it's like, I get the stasis pod straps them in, holds them in, and I'm assuming it's taking the information, right? Like a machine, it's taking their memory and whatnot. I get that, right? He's strapped in, but look at this. I don't get this. Look how quickly 3, 4, 5, 6. You're telling me 6 seconds is all it takes for somebody's entire history, memory, their emotions, how they feel, their temperament, their behaviorology, the way that they move, all of that can be assimilated and taken on board in 5 seconds. It's just like, and why not explain the mechanics of what's happening?
There's also a thing of like, are we gonna explore what this implies? You know, like, is there any significant change to their mentality, their psyche? You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll come off the special effects and stuff, and maybe I'm just easily impressed, but I love this effect they've got going on where their faces are like bleeding sideways. Like, it's like high tech and low tech at the same time. I really love this.
Mm-hmm. Only where they're being scanned is what's being like projected.
And then it like blends with the scene perfectly. Like there's like volumetric light coming through. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's super cool.
Then she goes into hunting mode.
I'm considered good looking amongst my kind.
You know, I know a bunch of good looking Skrulls. You ain't one of
Okay,
them.
all right, guys. What is?
Is that like an illusion that Nick Fury's had some Skrull putty tank?
Hold on, stop. You talking about attacking MI6 operatives?
Look, Gravik knows that mercy's your weakness. Time for you to prove him wrong.
When has that ever been established? That mercy is Talos's weakness. Like, they're saying a lot of heavy shit that has not been backed up by the continuity of the MCU. This is my biggest frustration with this episode and this show, and the direction Marvel's taking with like their shows in particular.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like she's us. She's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, whatever.
Have some popcorn and enjoy. You know what I mean? Stop thinking like that's what they want us to do, man.
This guy's a really shit villain. I'm just going to put it out there, guys. Gravik is just really underwhelming
He
for me.
seems like that.
He just seems like a mopey. Look at the way he's sitting. He's not sitting like a leader.
He's washed up, walks with a limp, can barely see out the good eye.
I see you've kept the circle tight on this one.
Yeah, because you fucking probably instructed him to. Where's this conflict between these two stemming from? He's his subordinate. It's his number 2 guy. He's told him, organize everything. He's giving you the information. And now you're going, oh, well, I see you've kept the circle tight. Because that's what you wanted.
Right.
Presumably. You wanted...
We're the circle, no one else.
Is that to protect me or the cause?
You are the cause.
Again, sorry,
No, they should know this.
This makes no sense to me because it's like...
Yeah.
Because I get the intent that the writers are going for. I think they're trying to insinuate that the number 2 is aware of how Gravik is, right? Like, Gravik is... Sometimes it's about the mission, sometimes it's about himself. He has a bit of a god complex, I feel. And
he's also a bit of a cult leader, right? So, like, he is the ideology.
Correct. And so I get why they're writing this to make him say, you are the cause, because it's him showing fealty. It's just like, you're our leader. Like, we follow you wherever we go. But Gravik should know this. Like, if they want to plant the seed of doubt in Gravik's mind that his number 2 might not be trustworthy, then we need to see more. We need to see the number 2 having done something questionable. Like, maybe he lets a human get away at the very start instead of killing him. And Gravik's like, why did you do that? If you want to create tension between a group or conflict, you need to show us the conflict emanating from an event, not from just dialogue. This is just a clutterfuck for me. This is just a huge mess.
Cause is home.
Yes, sir.
Home in our own skin. That's their fucking motto.
He looks like he's just not thrilled to be here, Gravik. Like,
You take the cash to this address. You deal with Paprician and no one else.
what was that?
There's just a lot of hostility amongst like the different Skrulls for
no reason. Give us a reason.
They have a lot of camaraderie. You know what I mean? Like, they could be pretty chummy.
I think I'd buy this group if they were affectionate to each other, if they were loving.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if Gravik was like, I trust you all with my life. If there was something like this, then when we do get to the conflict between the Skrulls and the humans, it can put us in a unique situation where obviously we want the humans to win, but we're also sympathetic to the Skrulls. But right now, I feel no sympathy for the Skrulls. Like, I don't like them.
because they're not complex. Because it's a fact that amongst most of the Skrulls there are not part of this like revolution thing. They just want to be
Correct.
with other Skrulls, right?
Correct.
They want to save home, and like there's this. I really like. There's a character named Arlong in One Piece, and he's basically hates humans, right? But he loves his own kind, even the ones that love humans.
Sure.
And I always felt that that's the way this should be, right? Like I feel like their camaraderie, their brotherhood is tied to them being Skrulls, but they just seem to hate each other.
Yeah, it's like not. This episode is supposed to show how they love each other, but they hate humanity. But all I'm getting so far is the Skrulls hate humans and they hate themselves as well as each other. It's just self-loathing and hatred. Like even from Gravik, I get the sense that he's not a competent leader. I feel like the number 2 is the one doing everything. Everybody's afraid of Gravik. That's not really... Maybe that's what they're trying to do, set up the fact that Gravik's not a good leader, because I get the feeling this show is a bait and switch. Putting it out there now, but this show's not really about Nick Fury. It's not really about Gravik or Talos. I think it's about Gia.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel as though the group are going to fracture and the good guys are going to follow Gia, and it's going to be about her. I feel like Gia is the Princess Varanke substitute as the leader of the Skrulls. But whereas Varanke is a princess and was tied to the mythology and religious zealotry of the Skrulls, there's no connection. There's no reason for Gia to be leader. It's just, it's artificial plotting. All right, let's keep going, guys. Otherwise, we're going to be here forever.
What's our MI6 status?
You Operation?
Da.
Dude, when I first watched this, I felt like that was not enough money. I don't know why. It's really nitpicky, but I was like, what is that, like 20,000? Like,
yeah, dude.
Build a bomb? I was like, that's a huge risk, dude. What is that like?
Yeah, there should be a suitcase filled with cash.
Coupons? Like, why is it?
Yeah. What happened to the traditional suitcase? It's in 2 baggies with money in it.
These are like staple cliches that we see and tropes that we see in thrillers, but like they need to be in thrillers. Like they're there for a reason. They mean something. It's just like they went for like 20K in Glad wrap bags. Like what the fuck?
It just
How does that feel? Oh my god! Like the
just
people
Venmo'd him or something. Like that's not a ton of money. Like,
watching this, you get the feeling that the people directing this have never seen a thriller. Because so far, I'm not very thrilled. It feels like a CW drama.
Oof.
I know that's pretty harsh.
And that's the worst insult.
That's you can't unknow that. Thanks, Niyat.
But important piece of information that Talos or that Nick Fury gave us is not bad for 136 years old. So that means the Skrulls, or Talos is 136. I'm assuming Gravik's probably like 80, right? They're complaining about Fury disappearing for 5 years when they have like 3-4 times the lifespan of a regular human. That's nothing to them. Like, the fuck?
Yeah. That's one of my gripes for this. Like, can't you be a little bit more patient? Like, it's not like you're being like killed or something or hunted down.
Mm-hmm.
You only started being hunted down when you decided to start shit.
I do love this scene though.
You haven't even gone on my midlife crisis shopping spree yet. What you get for yours?
The Avengers.
He got the Avengers
This line is awesome.
midlife crisis. Yeah. And it just goes to show, again, to my point of why they shouldn't be denigrating him. It's like, in his midlife crisis, he's trying to save the world, right? Instead of, because he asked him, what was your midlife crisis spending spree? And Nick Fury he doesn't care about himself. You know, most people in a midlife crisis are trying to figure out who they are, what they need to do to make themselves feel better about themselves, whether it's like purchasing a new car or going on a holiday. Nick Fury literally just gives us who he is. It's like, during my midlife crisis, I was building the Avengers. Like, do you know what I mean? Like when I'm going through the biggest turmoil of my life, personal life, which I think sideline is hinting to his relationship with his wife, which I think we're going to get a little bit on in the series. But like during that issue, he was thinking about more than himself. That's Nick Fury. So when everybody's criticizing him, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And like he doesn't fall because like the superheroes always fall to like selfishness in their selfishness. Nick Fury does not.
this doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
she just saw Gia walking past, right? And she's like,
Mhm.
I might tail her. Why? Of all the people in Russia, does she begin tailing Gia? She doesn't know what Gia looks like. She doesn't even know who Gia is, right?
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So why is she tailing her? Because the writers wanted her to tail her.
It's very convenient. Like, I don't know.
Look at all this woman here. You got a woman on the left with her husband. You got this woman here. There's thousands of women here. There's thousands of people here. What is the choice? What's the connective tissue between her seeing her and wanting to follow her? Because it's like, we know who she is, but she doesn't.
But the writers know who she is.
I've got eyes on a possible person of interest. Based on what? Why is she a person of interest to you? Is it because she reminds you of Game of Thrones? Like, what the fuck's going on here? So I saw Daenerys. I got to get out of the car, get an autograph.
That would have been a great excuse for it, actually. Find out it's G.
Holy shit, is that Daenerys?
So we're gonna go ahead and call that a lie. Everybody gets one. Nobody gets two.
That's the first time I'm hearing this from Nick Fury.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not something he's ever said before. And if he's saying that now, he better commit to it.
I'm sorry, I do not know this term. Dirty bomb.
Boom goes the dynamite. Lie number 2.
Well, you should have shot him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there should be repercussions.
Shoot me?
Maybe. Well, probably. But not right now.
Okay, I guess this is the repercussion. Oh shit.
Here we go.
Damn.
They're pretty strong.
Is it just me? Is it weird that Nick Fury is sitting down during all of this? Okay, now he got up.
He got up off screen. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Tell me where the bombs are. You prey on people.
This is a pretty interesting chokehold. I'm assuming there's no way for him to get out of this because it's like he's got his neck, he's got him held down. If the guy tries to move, he's going to break his neck, right? Wrong. He just lifted his hand up. Like, what the fuck?
You see, he's superhuman. Yes. Oh.
Why did he fire that second shot? I don't get it. They need information. Why would Nick Fury kill him? Oh my god. He's the worst spy now. And also, like, you're really hurting Talos because he fucking said not to kill him.
I said no.
They have nothing now. They know nothing about the bomb.
Yeah, and they fractured their relationship for no reason.
Why are you following her? Because she has a bag? Lots of people have bags.
She has very nice eyes.
You guys are with me. You guys are with me,
That's the
right?
mother of dragons.
Maria Hill. There's no reason Maria Hill should be following her.
It is absolutely unexplainable why she Spidey senses tingled when she walked over.
This is a major crisis situation. Nick Fury and Talos are interrogating somebody, right? She knows that they're interrogating that guy. They don't really know what's going on. Right now, they need her support. She's supposed to be keeping watch, right? This is really weird for her to just get out of the car and start following somebody when there's an operation at stake, you know? Like,
yeah. She said person of interest, but why is she a person of interest? Like, she's just a rando to you.
Maybe she just means she looks interesting to her.
I saw this hottie. I saw this shawty walk by. You're gonna follow.
Perhaps this could be justified if what's her name? Gia was acting suspicious. Like if she was looking over her shoulder, you know, looking around and then snuck into like a quiet room and Maria happened to see that. Okay, maybe. But as Maria just got a split second shot of a woman walking 30 feet away through a hallway for a second. She just sees her walk from left to right. That's all she sees of her. She sees her side profile. She doesn't know who she is. This is frustrating. It's bad writing.
I think this is the worst example of writing up till now. Like, I think this is the most egregious because the script wanted it.
Damn, Daenerys has a great stunt double.
She.
Where did he get here?
How did he get here?
He's just whoop. No, dude,
Okay.
Skrulls can teleport, bro.
Like, okay, guys, we really need to fucking go over this. This is fucking some shitty ass writing. So, both of them are here. Fury shoots Mister, what you mean, dirty bomb? He shoots that guy. Talos is like, I said no.
Walks out.
Fury walks out, leaves him there. Fury leaves. Talos is here. Maria Hill is somewhere in the city following Gia. Nick Fury's just walked out. The next scene we see... Sorry.
He's here. Yeah, no.
He's here. And remember, Maria Hill was talking to Nick Fury. She said, Fury, I have a person of interest. I'm following them. Does she tell them where she's going? No. Does she give them coordinates of which tunnel she's in? No. There's no
But the
reason...
worst is the timeline doesn't make sense. Like, that's even worse. Like, right now, they should still be in the room.
Correct. Or he should be just exiting the room.
Mm-hmm.
So not only does it not make sense that Maria Hill found her, it makes even less sense that Talos found Maria without Maria contacting him.
Well, he just runs in.
And the thing is, this is what really frustrates me and hurts my head, is like, this is something that can be fixed with 1 or 2 lines, you know? Maybe earlier.
Small stuff that adds up.
Small stuff. Like, okay, like, you know, in the introduction scene when Nick Fury meets Maria Hill and she's like, he's upstairs. Him and Talos have a discussion. When they come down, Talos opens his wallet. There's a picture of Gia from like 5 years ago.
Oh,
and Maria Hill sees that. And she's like, okay. So then when she sees her walk down the street, when she says person of interest, she's like, I remember that face because we've seen her see that face. It makes sense. And then you can have Talos fighting them by her going, I'm entering this coordinate as she goes down. Do you know what I mean? This is where I'm at. Easy. Now we fixed all of those problems. Maria tracking her, Talos finding. But this is simple. This is something you can do in reshoots. If we're able to watch the episode and see these problems, they can do it too in the editing room.
Yeah.
Last warning!
It's what you always say, but there's always another.
Wait a minute. Isn't that Nick Fury's thing? Warning and then not committing to the warning? Now it's his thing?
No. He didn't commit because he has too much empathy or something. That's what they were talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And technically, Nick Fury, I guess they're going with the idea that he would have shot that guy in the leg or something if Talos didn't hit him. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
This is not what your mother would have wanted.
Mum doesn't know what she wants.
She's dead.
How?
Why don't you ask the people that you work for?
Why don't you just tell her what they did to your mother?
Yeah.
Your wife. Just tell her that, and that's enough. This doesn't make sense. Why doesn't he tell her?
I think he feels like it's more powerful to tell her to ask them because he might be lying to her.
Well,
but I don't.
that compromises her, because if she asks them, they're going to probably fucking try and kill her.
Yeah, no. He should have just told her. He should have just been candid. It's too flawed. His way of thinking is too flawed for someone who used to be a leader.
I get the conflict with his daughter, but as a father, there's no way you're letting her go up the sewers with those bombs when you know what the result will be. Like, it's just like, I'm not saying he's going to kill her, but it's just like, no, they killed they killed your mother. This is how they did it. Give me the bomb. You're about to start a civil war with Earth. You're going to destroy our people. These are the type of things that should be said. Not give me the bomb, please. I'll protect you. It's like, it's very CW.
Смотри, сколько хочешь. Все равно не будешь таким, как...
Why?
So not only is Sonya telling him he's incompetent, not only is Maria telling him he's incompetent, not only is Talos telling him he's incompetent, not only does Warhammer, I guess, and the rest of the world think he's incompetent, but a random Russian guy in a bar is telling him he's not the man that he once was.
And they still put him in charge of the most important, like, Earth defense thing while thinking he's incompetent.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know what they're going for here. It's just like the Russian guy just saw him looking at himself, and the Russian guy probably says this to everybody that looks at himself. But it's like, when you've been spoon feeding us, like pushing this down our throat, to have a random person that doesn't know the main character tell him he's incompetent, it's just like the nail in the coffin for me. This is where I started going, okay, they really fucked this episode up.
But bon, I piwa miliardina I tostopute mai drusia.
This would have worked if that guy was a Skrull.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, you'll never be the man that you once was. Tension, immediate. Notice something that's missing throughout all of this. There's no tension.
Oh,
and I feel like if, because at the start, we start with a huge bang where Ross is running, everybody could be a Skrull. And now we've like dispensed with the idea that everybody in this room could be a Skrull. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I do like one thing though. When he came in, she says, you have to wait. And it wasn't a racial thing. It was like, it's an outsider thing. You're an outsider. I'm serving the patrons here first. But you can see a bit of camaraderie now. He's like, I'll buy you a drink. The Russian guy's like, okay, you're not so bad. And even the lady, you know, she's like, okay, he's speaking Russian, not well. He's buying people drinks. He's one of us.
He's cool.
You know what I mean? He's cool. So I do like that.
Moments of brilliance.
But then he goes and sits with Maria Hill in a room filled with lots of people, and they're talking about their plan.
We kept the Cold War from going hot. Spooks like me, bad shots.
You can't say that.
You can't say that. Okay, let's just say I had a crisis of faith. I owe it to Talos.
You sure you're not talking about someone else?
Who are they referring to here?
I don't know.
I think I do know, but I want to hear your thoughts.
I thought that maybe it was like an allusion to the like Talos's wife, right? Like the character they were talked about, like in the hugging scene. But honestly, I had no idea. I thought it was just vague because of that. But
that's a good one.
I was very, very confused. Well, not super confused, but you feel me.
Yeah. What about you, Andre? Who were you thinking?
I like when they said that, I was at a blank. I was like, this. I don't know much about his like personal relationships enough to like say, oh, he's doing it for this person. I just feel like he's duty bound to do it, and here they're saying he's doing it for someone. I have no idea who he is.
Yeah, it's really confusing because it's like I was like, is he talking about Natasha Romanoff? And it's like, wait, no, that conflict had nothing to do with the Skrull invasion. I think I know who it is he's referring to, but again, this show's so messed up. I think he's referring to his wife because in the show we are going to see Nick Fury's wife, right? That's my understanding is, yeah, she's going to be appearing in one of the later episodes. And so he's saying he came back for her. And it's like, wait a minute, but you haven't mentioned her before. This is the first time he's mentioning her, if he is mentioning her, and he's not even mentioning her. Do you know what I mean? He's not even saying it.
Yeah. Outside of this series, does he mention he has a wife?
No, never.
No. Okay. No. Oh, well. In the comics, does he have a wife?
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand with the continuity of the comics, hundreds of different people have written a comic with Nick Fury, and not all of the comics line up. They're all in different continuities and stuff. So, man, there's probably a Nick Fury. I mean, that Nick Fury was initially white. That's one thing until I think the Ultimate Marvel run by Brian Michael Bendis, when he actually changed Nick Fury to the likeness of Samuel L. Jackson. Like, no joke. And then Samuel L. Jackson ended up playing him in the MCU, which fit perfectly. But like,
that's hype.
I guess the point that I'm making is there's different versions of Nick Fury out there, and they've all done something. So I'm sure there's a comic where he has a wife. I'm sure there's a comic where he has a child. Yeah, for sure. But the issue that I'm having is, again, going back to what I said at the start, a lot of exposition with no payoff. They're just telling us things, accepting us, and hoping that we accept it.
Yeah. Okay. We've known Nick Fury for so long. It's jarring to find out he has a wife now.
Yeah, and not really. Like, they haven't really told us that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, true.
The Fury I knew was always 3 steps ahead. You were never the same after the blip. You always told me there is no shame in walking away when the steps are uncertain.
When did he say that to you?
I was about to ask that.
Walk away when the footing is unsure? Like, that doesn't really seem like a Nick Fury thing to say. Like, Nick Fury would be the kind of thing, even when the steps are uncertain, what you're trying to achieve is more important than you. So even if you're unsure about whether you can achieve it, you have to try. That's Nick Fury.
I feel like Nick Fury is more, if you're walking on ice, you might as well dance instead of...
Facts. If you're walking on ice, skate. You know what I mean? Put some skates on.
Yeah.
Fly through that shit.
Right, because isn't his whole plot line like in Iron Man 2, like, you can't give up, Tony, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you can't just oh my gosh, dude.
And it's the same thing in the Avengers film. Shield sends a nuclear strike against New York. It's like, no, no, absolutely not.
Yeah. Now, it is understandable that after he literally died, he disappeared. And he didn't even die. He disappeared from existence. That he would have some lasting psychological. He might be different now, right? But that hasn't been shown to us outside of right now.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest complaints that's been thrown at Marvel is it's a huge criticism of post-blip projects like the films and TV shows. The characters seem to be acting very much the same as they were prior to the blip. Do you know what I mean? There's no sense of repercussion or what was lost or what has changed. And here, at least, they're trying to integrate that a bit late, but like they're doing it in such a forced way. It's such an inorganic way that they're trying to set up the fact that Nick Fury changed when we haven't seen it. Again, they keep telling us these things have happened when we haven't seen it. So all of this just makes no sense to me. I'm just confused as to why they're saying the things that they're saying.
I don't understand why Gia went back to them.
Maybe we postpone the strike.
Well, to the contrary. Thanks to you, we have the bait.
You know, I would have thought that she would have hidden the bombs until she knew the truth. Like sort of held the bombs hostage or something, right?
Yeah.
To defend herself. But no, they're just going along with her going back to the bad guys that she now suspects killed her mother.
And it's not like her father would lie to her about that. As much as she hates him, he's an honest person. So if he tells her that they're responsible for her mother's death, then yeah, I don't understand why she's going back.
And this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about and that I mentioned to Niyat before is I feel that for a miniseries, the stakes are too high. It is the annihilation of the human race. And I have a problem with it. I have a problem with everything having to be a world-ending event nowadays in series. You know, like WandaVision started out as a very character-driven thing and it ended up in a big event. From what I understand, Moon Knight did as well. Falcon and Winter Soldier, well, they were stopping like super terrorists and shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if the higher the stakes are, the harder it is to sell it. Just make something a bit more localized, maybe to set. But they're not. But again, they can't do that because they're not committing to it. They're not committing to a season 2. They're not committing to continuing this in any of the movies. Like, they're just they don't care enough. I feel like it doesn't make any sense. They should have made this a more local, like Moscow is in danger, something, right? Like they're going to try to take over.
Right. Give us some new characters that we actually care about. Give us a little side story. They're at jeopardy. You know what I mean? Like I mean, they're doing some stuff with that with like Gia and Talos. Like I am engaged in their relationship, but I think you're right. Like they have this sort of identity crisis with like, okay, so Thanos removed half of everything from existence, right? And now they're kind of trying to like find a way to tell engaging narratives that the stakes aren't that high. And like now they're sort of like overcorrecting, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's not that complicated because like for a series like this, like it's okay to like, and again, like you're right. Like I think Fury's like PTSD essentially associated with the blip is like totally justified and stuff. But it's one of those things where it's like, man, like if we could just keep the stakes small enough to like exist in a miniseries, I'm right there with you. I think it would be like much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm going to have to slightly disagree with Nick Fury's PTSD being justified because it's like if there's anybody who's capable of coming out of the blip on the other side and being fine of all the people in the MCU, it is Nick Fury.
I guess that's fair, yeah.
And when we've seen, I guess my pushback is when we've seen other characters like Ant-Man and, you know, like, I don't even know that characters in that series, but like when we see those characters behaving exactly the same as they were prior to the blip, and the only person that seems to be affected is Nick Fury, that's weird to me. That's really weird to me.
Right.
Touching on the stakes issue, the stakes are fine. Like having high stakes is okay so long as they've been. But the issue with this is the stakes are high, but they've been artificially laid out in a disingenuous way. You know, there's no setup to the scenario. It's just all exposition to justify why the plot is happening. I think fundamentally that's the biggest issue with the story. But yeah,
I'm just frustrated because it's become a trend. I feel maybe you're right. Like maybe I'm just like maybe that's just a personal frustration because it's too many times has this happened when we know you can make it, the more localized you can make it, the more you can focus on the few characters you have without making it unbelievable. Like, if this is such a bit scale thing, why aren't there other people involved?
Where are the superheroes?
Exactly. Where are the superheroes?
Where are the fucking superheroes? There's a line. One of the characters actually explains why there's no superheroes a bit later. So maybe we'll leave that till there.
Sure.
Yeah, but you're right. It just doesn't feel like it fits in the continuity of the MCU as we've seen it so far. Things are happening for the sake of happening, just to keep the story going. That's it.
That following you could get her killed.
Your mother died while you were working for her killer. So do not take me down that road, Gaia.
The attack is planned for tomorrow. Unity Day. There are 3 bombs. And Gravik knows you'll be there.
Your mum would be very proud of you, for coming to see me.
I was gonna say, proud of what? Jesus.
Gaia's come back.
How do you know she's not a double agent?
Yeah, he was.
They're putting a lot of trust in her. All right.
I guess she's the only hope they got. I guess.
Notice how there's 3 of them that have a vantage point on her. Right? They're all looking at her from a different angle. Yeah.
Yep.
There's no way they can lose her. Right?
Yeah, they're gonna lose her. Come on.
3 people looking at her from 3 different angles. Oh my god, this is so corny. She put an actual literal X marking the spot. Like, my god. This is just bad writing. Like, this is the first draft. X. We put an X on the backpack. Yeah. Infrared X.
Oh my god, she made it so easy for them to not fuck this up.
How did they miss the pass?
Oh,
3 of them looking at it from 3 different angles. She missed the pass, but you know why? Because the writers need her to miss the pass.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes. Because it raises the stakes. We need some drama. We need some.
Yeah, otherwise it's just a lady walking. They're just sitting on it for 5 minutes. Like,
yep. Weren't there 3 backpacks or just 2?
That's weird because we saw her with 2. She said that there were 3.
She said 3.
Now there's 3. It's just confusing as hell.
Mm-hmm. There's just no care. Like, it's hard to care about this series when there's so many oversights,
Compare this to like the Bourne Identity. Like, the Bourne Identity, as much as I hate the editing, because it's like over edited, like the action scenes, like a 10-second fight sequence has like 15 cuts. Like, as much as I hate that, you know what's going on. Like, when Matt Damon is walking through like a crowd, the way that the camera's on him, it's so frenetic that you're just on edge. It's like, when he's looking around, any person could be a spy, right? Here you have the added thing where any person could be a Skrull. So, the camera work should be jittery. It should be, do you know what I mean? The cinematography should invoke a sense of panic in us, or a frenetic pace that makes us, uneasy. But look at the wide shots here. There's no tension.
No. And like, I would like more shot of just people's faces, because that's an important aspect of the paranoia, right? Like, these are all wide shots, but
there's a lot of visual noise going on. All right, guys. Oh shit. Just to go with the ball from before. Fury, why are you walking so slowly, bro?
He's walking very slowly, especially in like an empty hallway.
Guys, there's bombs about to go off. Don't be polite. Just like yell, scream, tell people to get out of the way. Okay, guys. So, all right. So we got this guy.
Is that the bar guy? Real quick question.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
So I thought about mentioning this. So, like, when that scene was happening, you were talking about how, like, it doesn't really make sense, and I don't want to spoil the next part of the scene.
It is the bar guy.
So if that's the bar guy, then that means that is the main villain, which means that we get more scenes with him than I initially thought.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
This is
Basically,
why
this is him face to face with
with Fury telling him he's not the person he used to be before.
right, which
Well,
makes
well
that
spotted.
make way more sense.
Okay, well, yeah, this makes so much sense now. I told you guys to keep a lookout for a few people that we saw Nick Fury looking at. We're about to see the combination of that in this. I do like this reveal, but again, there's a lot of issues with it still. Where are we at? Yeah.
At least this
well
makes
spotted.
sense.
Well spotted, Preston. Oh, I do like the clock ticking in the background. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah, it's a fun callback to the scene with the clock lady. But well, also I guess it's a countdown, so could just be doing a lot of things.
Oh, now the clock stopped for some reason.
Yeah, it only played, but for the first like couple seconds.
Oh, it's back. The clock's back. You recognize her?
Yep, that's the lady
chick that was making out on the. Which means Gravik was kissing a dude.
Hey, I don't know how they get down on Gravik Prime
Skrulls.
Skrulls, sorry.
Gravik Prime. That's the name. Let's go.
Okay, he's pulled the gun out.
He literally just transformed into multiple people just to fuck with Nick Fury.
At this point, Nick should be shooting him, like in the leg or something like that. Like freeze, boom. Like maybe with the kid is a bit hesitant. I get that. You know, it's just like, is that actually just the girl that I saw earlier, or is this a Skrull? Changes into the dude I saw at the bar. Yep. Okay, this guy's been tracking me, has seen us. We need to be careful. In fact, he should be on comms right now to Maria Hill. If this was an Avengers like film, there'd be a lot of communication going on. Fury going, I think I've found somebody. Maria Hill going, I'm tracking one of the bags. Talos going, I'm also onto another bag that I'm following. There should be coordination. There's no coordination. It's just random people doing random things.
Because at this point, everyone's going after a bag, but how do they know that someone else hasn't been compromised, you know?
This is where Nick Fury should be shooting him. Like, okay, guys, when you've been tracking a package that's believed to be a bomb, yeah, you know that they're going to detonate in a second. Someone throws it up. What would be your instinct?
Run.
Mine would be to run and scream. Everybody run away. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a bomb.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You wouldn't be, would you be doing this?
Yeah.
Catching it?
That's a good point, dude. They should be shouting bomb. Like, that would clear the room so fast.
It is a dirty bomb. They're all dead anyway. Is this the dirty bomb, or are these just like small
I'm so
bombs?
confused, because I thought these were dirty bombs too, and I was like, okay, so they're all dead. And then I guess it's not, right?
Aren't dirty bombs big? Aren't they huge? How they fit in the backpack? I don't understand the mechanics.
Well, that's why I only got 20K.
Notice
a little bomb.
Notice, guys, this is how lazy the writers are. They didn't even give us a shot of what the bombs look like.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because they knew that if we saw it, it'd be like, we'd be tearing it apart. It's just like, oh my God. Now, here's my issue.
They described these as a decoy, right? As well.
Yeah. They said bait was the word they used.
Yeah. Go ahead, Niyat.
Okay, so Nick should be shooting him right now. Why hasn't he shot him? Why hasn't he shot him? Why does he allow this to happen? Fury didn't hesitate to shoot the guy that Talos was fighting, and they weren't really under any threat. Remember that?
Yeah.
Talos could have had him.
That's a really good point.
Talos could have easily defeated him. It was a one-on-one, and he just shot him, even though they needed vital information. Now, okay, based on that scene, we should be like, Nick Fury's not going to hesitate. Now he's seen Gravik. He knows he's got a bomb. He's about to detonate. He's the leader. If I kill him, I end everything pretty much. He sees him pull out the button. He does not fire the shot. And we saw that Nick Fury had already pulled his gun out and was aiming at him before Gravik pulled the trigger. Before he even...
CW, man.
Okay, so these aren't dirty bombs. These are like normal bombs. That's where they were cheap. These were the decoy bombs. Not the bait bombs or something.
Again.
He's the cult leader. If you kill him, there's going to be,
it's like they want
in the movement.
It's like they want us to be angry at Nick Fury. The whole incompetence thing that they were telling him, it's like it didn't happen till then. That was the first time he was incompetent.
And he's been competent the whole episode. He shot that other guy right at the moment. Well, He did kill him, which is
Yeah,
not
shoot,
something
really-
a spy would do. But
yeah. When you're dealing with information, killing an informant is the last thing you want to do. Maiming them, injuring them, all up Nick Fury's avenue. But it just doesn't make sense for him to execute the guy that Talos was fighting, and for him not to execute Gravik, who's about to detonate a bomb in Russia, triggering a world war.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you weren't surprised enough?
What?
Why isn't Fury shooting at him?
Man, this is so frustrating. I can't.
Dude, that shit is cold. Like,
I'm so
she
angry.
thinks it's him.
Yeah, I'm so
That's
angry.
Brutal, dude. That's the last thing she sees is getting shot by her best friend. Oof.
So the one character who was trying to push the plot along, saying pretty much what was on our mind, is dead.
Mm-hmm. This is just frustrating.
Why did they kill Maria? I think I know it's supposed to be an emotional punch for Nick Fury. On the hero's journey, they need to be wounded. But this is like a common thing they did with films in the 90s. I think it's called fridging, where the main character's best friend, love interest, somebody that they truly love, dies at the start. And it's sort of meant to push our hero on the journey they need to go on, like their redemption arc, I guess. But just why do this to Maria?
Now he's gonna take this seriously. Now he's not gonna hesitate to shoot, that type of thing. But that's insane. He should. I know he for a fact he would have shot that man. Like he absolutely should have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Maria Hill was done dirty. In the comics, she's Nick Fury's protege. She's just as ruthless as him. She even takes over S.H.I.E.L.D., replacing him in one of the runs. The first Avenger movie, she's really competent. She has that great chase scene. I don't know if you remember at the start where Hawkeye and Loki jump on a truck. They're driving off, and Fury's like, he's turned Hawkeye. And she turns around, shoots him, chases him in the tunnel. She's amazing, like in that. I was like, great. I'm already a big fan of Maria Hill. Then we got to see more of her in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's literally the first person Nick turns to in The Winter Soldier when S.H.I.E.L.D.'s been corrupted. And after Fury's fake death, she's there supporting Captain America to bring the corrupted S.H.I.E.L.D. down. She's there helping Nick and the Avengers save the world multiple times. She's a bit grumpy and moody here, though she's often saying exactly what was on my mind. So to see what they did to her, and that's how we're going to remember her now. As you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
really
I don't know if this makes sense, but it would have made more sense if Nick died and the protege took over. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't have been a fan of that either, but like,
From a writing standpoint, though, like, there's like the consequences of his, like their highly contrived assertion that he's just like bad and he doesn't know what's going on and he's lost his touch. Like,
here, the consequence of his incompetence is that the competent person dies.
Yes.
That's insane.
Which I guess is what they were going for, but it just doesn't feel good. You know what I mean?
No.
It's like we talked about, but
yeah, like Nick Fury, as I said this before, he's the world's greatest spy. Secrets have secrets. Time and time again, when it seems like the world is in ruins and the heroes are defeated, he is the last man standing. He's hiding, plotting in a bunker that nobody knows about with a plan to turn the tide. He saved New York. He saved the world. He's built and mentored the Avengers, who saved the universe from Thanos twice. So while he did disappear during the blip, he should be content that his work amounted to something,
Yeah.
More than anybody else. His contribution is greater than the contribution of Iron Man. Even though Iron Man was responsible for doing the snap at the end, he wouldn't have done that if it weren't for Nick Fury. Because Iron Man was selfish as fuck at the start. Part of his character growth is a result of the advice that Nick Fury gives him in Iron Man 2, where he's like, I knew your father, bro. Like, me and him work together. Like, I see the potential in you. And from Iron Man to Endgame, Fury is cool, smart, and one step ahead of everyone. And then they do this weird thing in Captain Marvel in 2019, where they're retroactively, which, you know, despite being set in the 90s, justifying a slight change to his character, you know, didn't deliver on the promises and mysteries that were hinted prior. Like in Captain America, Winter Soldier, he has this conversation with Captain America talking about his eye. You know, he lost it the last time he trusted somebody, you know? But in Captain Marvel, it was the result of a cat alien that randomly scratched him, even though he was friendly with the cat. Him and the cat got along fine. The cat just scratched him out of nowhere. It's like it's a joke at the expense of character, which I feel that's the MCU now.
And it's also like this is not new for like a Disney property to take the hero and for some reason make him out to be the one that like gets fucked up by his victory. You know, I feel they did the same thing to Luke Skywalker in like the sequel trilogy. It's like why are you the one that's crying? You won. You were the hero.
Yeah.
And Nick was the hero. He's the reason everyone survived. There is no one bigger than him because it's because of him that they could snap people back.
Yeah, the Luke Skywalker comparison is actually a great comparison for us to discuss because you're right. At the end of the original trilogy, Luke defeats the Sith, saves the fucking universe, and he's on his way to restoring the Jedi, or at least that's what we thought. And then Rian Johnson comes in and is like, no. Even though Luke won, he's broken about winning. And they throw in this thing about how he had a dream that Kylo Ren like kills all of his trainees. So he decides to try and kill him, even though the original trilogy is not about his father having a dream, but his father having destroyed the universe. And he still finds good in him. That's the message of the original trilogy. And Rian Johnson comes back and is like, it's not that Kylo Ren did anything. It's that he had a dream. He had a nightmare where Kylo Ren does something. And that justifies him trying to kill his nephew? Fuck off.
Yeah, and Anakin and Palpatine were much, much more evil than Kylo Ren. If they like, how come he's so scared of how come he's so affected by Kylo?
Kylo didn't do anything. Kylo was a Jedi trainee. He literally had not done anything wrong. All that Luke got was a nightmare that Kylo would do something wrong. It's sort of like the I guess what they were going for, it's the self-fulfilling prophecy. It's kind of like the one that Anakin has, where Anakin sees his mother die or has a vision that Padme is going to die. And it's his actions in trying to stop that lead to those events taking place.
There's definitely a key difference and kind of a parallel to some stuff we've discussed here, because like we experienced that with Anakin in real time versus like Luke's flashback is almost like this, where they're referencing so much stuff that's basically happened off camera. Like that didn't really happen off camera. They do show it to us, but we don't experience it with Luke. So we're like, why are you behaving this way? And then it's like quick justification. All right, like I'm not really buying it, and it falls super flat. You know?
Yeah. We'd be better off having the Skrull that pretends to be Nick Fury than Nick Fury.
Exactly. So just going back to Captain Marvel 2019, I didn't really have a problem with Samuel L. Jackson's performance in the film. I thought he was charismatic and filled with the same tenacity as ever. But the result of that story is that they've retroactively inserted the fact that while he was guiding Iron Man and the Avengers in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. and now Saber, which is literally designed to save humanity from alien threats, he abandoned shape-shifting aliens on Earth for 30 years. It's like, what the fuck? Such a contradiction. When a character... Here's the thing, and this is the one thing that I've written that I think makes the most sense to me. Tell me if you agree. When a character has to make uncharacteristic choices to facilitate the story, then there's a problem. And that problem is that the writing is bad.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Like, this is not Nick Fury. We might as well just consider him a different character.
Exactly. Like, they could have just picked a different character. They wanted to draw off Samuel L. Jackson, but it's like, if you take away Nick Fury, this is some S.H.I.E.L.D. person, it's like, all right, well, the gripes are definitely much smaller. I mean, they're still there, but you're right, it's not Nick Fury. It might as well be someone else.
What if this was Maria Hill, right? Nick Fury disappears for 5 years, right? She's in charge with dealing with this investigation, and she fails, somebody dies, and then, Nick Fury's brought in third, fourth episode, and obviously because he has all the answers to everything, he's not brought in till later. But to have Nick Fury be the one that's denigrated and criticized for not doing enough, it just does not make sense. Like, I mean, just quickly going over Ben Mendelsohn, I think he's brilliant. As I said, scenes with him and Samuel L. are the best. There's so much. There's so much history that you get in the like. They're speaking about the present, but as they speak about the present, you feel the weight of the past, and you don't get that with his conversations with Maria Hill, because with Maria Hill, she's telling him he's incompetent, but like it's not grounded in the reality of what we've seen before, so it feels hollow. And it's weird because it's like it would almost make more sense for Talos to be dead at the end of this episode than Maria Hill, because he's the person that Nick has a stronger connection with in this episode.
Yeah.
Right? And in fact, I think, although I don't want to see Talos dead, if Talos died, it's, poignant for Nick Fury, his best friend. He promised he'd help him. He didn't. His best friend's dead. And now there's like a civil war at stake. And that creates drama for Gia as well. Conflict. Her father's basically died trying to stop her from doing what she's in, and maybe that's a justification for her stopping. There's certain things that you can do to make the story better, and they chose not to do it.
Like I really feel they dropped the ball with how they handled this, and Gia, I see the potential in her character. I feel like she's the only Skrull leader that cares about the Skrull, which is insane. But
she's the only person that they've bothered to show us being sympathetic. That the only reason we feel that way is because she's the only person they've spent time on. No other Skrull character has been, we haven't had any back time with the number 2, seeing what he's like. Does he have a family there? Does he have friends there? The only character, it's like they've written it in a way where we only care about Gio.
Sure.
Even though I feel more for the second in charge guy. I don't know why. I do like him. Ben Mendelsohn's great. Gravik is underwhelming. Gia is like okay. She's mid. Ben Mendelsohn's Talos is great. Nick Fury's, he's doing okay. I don't think he's doing great because he's not given much to do. And the way that his character is sort of written hamstrings him. But despite that, Samuel L. Jackson's always entertaining. It's the only reason.
That's the problem. Samuel Jackson is killing it, but it's because we know he can kill it. Samuel Jackson doesn't disappoint as an actor. That's the biggest problem with the series. Its flaws would be so much more noticeable if it didn't have that charisma carrying it.
I guess while we're here now towards the end, what are your closing thoughts, guys?
I have no idea where it's going.
Yeah,
it could do anything at this point. Like. It could be dramatic character shift for Nick. It could be a couple more episodes of everyone being mean to him. Like, I don't know.
What do you think of the episode though, as a whole so far?
I'm right there with you. I think that the character to character moments are strong. I thought that Talos and Gia's scene was great. I thought that the Gia and Nick Fury scenes were fantastic. I even again the bar scene was riddled with a lot of weirdness, like the quote that she brings up that we've never heard him say that feels fairly uncharacteristic, but it's the talent is there, and I think that those scenes would be so much worse when you think about the fact that the writing is bad and they're still doing a good job.
That's a great
that's
point.
Kind of crazy. It could be so much when we were going through that, we were upset with what they were saying, but not how they were saying, how they were delivering it. The characters believe whatever it is they're saying. What she's saying is making Nick Fury feel the way that Nick Fury is supposed to feel in the writer's room. Whether or not that's good or not is obviously very contentious, but I felt the performances are really strong. Music's great. Special effects is fun in a couple spots. But yeah, I think I agree with a lot of the uncharacteristic representations of some of our favorite characters, if I had to sum it all up.
Absolutely. Andre, last thoughts?
Okay, so I think it literally could become a great series. It could stay like this. I feel like either the focus has to go straight onto Nick Fury or away from him, because now's the time for him to redeem himself. Because he's not the Nick Fury we know and love,
Yeah,
sure. Agree.
And go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if they're kicking him while he's down like this for one episode, and then it's a complete 180, that could be pretty sad. We could forget about it by episode 8, 9. You know what I mean? I think that you definitely are onto something there. But if they continue this, that's tough. That's pretty tough.
I mean, I was going to say, it's written and shot and directed almost like a 6-hour movie. I feel or at least that's the way that Marvel is editing and packaging their episodes. But Marvel doesn't know how to do TV shows. They know how to do films. They don't know how to do TV shows because they're not hitting all the beats that you'd get in a TV show. Like if this is 24, goddamn, it would be so much more thrilling because they know where the inciting incident should be for a TV show, what the inciting incident and the catalyst for the character should be. They know when the first act should end. It's not the same as in a film. There's a different structure that goes along with it. And so what we could potentially find, this is just me being ridiculously optimistic, is that we'll hit the first act episode 2. Like, the end of the first act. And maybe the second act of the story isn't until episode 5. And by then we'll be like excited, but I doubt it. Like you gotta start strong and end strong. And
right.
This is just,
I feel like they really dropped the ball with making everyone think less of Nick Fury. I felt like if like the Skrull were like, oh, he's lost his edge, but the people on his side would have been like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. It would have been like more balanced. Or like it seemed like the leader of the Skrull, when his number 2 was talking to him, was like incredulous that Nick Fury had lost his edge.
Yeah, he seems skeptical. He's like, what do you mean he's lost his edge? So that's probably why he went to meet him in the bar to see what he was like and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I have faith. That's about it.
Yeah, I'm cautiously pessimistic, I guess. But just to wrap things up, my closing thoughts are: I thought this was lackluster, very limited. Feels like a low-budget CW show. A hallway shot is supposed to represent the White House. Streets of Manchester shot from low Dutch angles are supposed to look like Moscow. I'm not buying it. Show does not look or feel like it's in the same universe as Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, or Captain Marvel, to be honest. It's not making any real attempt to connect to the MCU that's been established. In fact, it's trying to write itself in a hole where it's trying to forget the superheroes even exist. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, you said something about them explaining why the superheroes
I guess
around.
it's not in this episode. Maybe it's in episode 2. But they basically say they don't want the superheroes to basically contact the superheroes because then the superheroes could be, taken over. But it's like, well, that could be happening right now, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You're not going to get help because that help might end up getting, taken over?
Yeah.
That makes no sense. At least warn them, just tell the superheroes there's Skrulls here. Be careful. But it's just.
I'm sure Nick Fury can find the most trustworthy one and be like, "Hey, I trust you."
Or I'm sure there's a superhero out there that cannot be replicated. Do you know what I mean? Like there's something.
Yeah.
And these are the problem-solving things that you'd have fun with as a comic book fan or as a comic book writer who has experience writing comic books. You'd be able to go, ooh, we could do this, we could have this revelation. Maybe this person comes up with a serum to be able to detect who's a Skrull and who's not. There's so many things that they could play with, but because the creators haven't read the comic book, they're not going to do it. There was almost no point me reading what the Secret Invasion comic was or describing it at the start, if not just to give us a bit of context or just to show us what it is that they're not going to be doing. You know what I mean? It's quite sad. But just going back to the fact that they're not making any attempt to connect to the MCU, it's not just a budget thing, it's about continuity. So, for example, I haven't even seen the Eternals, but in Eternals, I know that there's a line where they say, we're not supposed to interfere unless the problem is deviants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Skrulls are deviants. So why aren't they here?
Yeah.
The main thing with the Eternals is they've been here on Earth for thousands of years, carefully guiding humanity. They're supposed to not interfere with humanity unless there's deviants involved, because their creators, the Celestials, hated the deviants. So if the Skrulls are deviants, which they are in the comics, why aren't the Eternals here? To that point, where's Kang? Isn't he responsible for everything in the MCU? Isn't this a Nexus point? Huh? I don't know, because the writers don't know.
I don't know, because the writers don't know.
It's true. That could be the title of the episode. CW.
That goes hard.
Yeah, I've got a better title, guys. I've got a better title. Here it is. Ready? If Secret Invasion is a thriller, then Antichrist is a romantic comedy.
Oh my god!
Burn, baby, burn. But that's pretty much it, guys. We've gone through the episode, torn it apart, trying to make sense of the logic or lack thereof in the story. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me, Preston and Andre. This has been heaps of fun.
Of course, dude. This was so fun.
We'll get Preston to work on the video over the next few days when he has time, and hopefully we can release this on Quantum Feed Monday or Tuesday of next week. Whatever day it will be before the episode 2 is released, that's for sure. But we're just working on a few things to see how quickly we can get that out. But once again, thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I'm really looking forward to I'm looking forward to watching episode 2 with you guys. I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to the episode itself.
I mean, I hope we get entertainment value out of it.
Yeah, I think we will. If by entertainment you mean frustration. But yeah, thanks again, guys.
The audience will be entertained for sure.
Oh, yeah, they will. Absolutely. But yeah, thanks again, guys. This has been heaps of fun. And yeah, to you guys watching, we'll see you next week. Thank you.